It's funny, you see this pattern again and again where as a little bit of disruption starts to happen in an industry, I mean, people just flip shit. If you actually look into the story behind Amazon and how they got to where they are right now, I mean, even to this day, they piss off a lot of people, but especially right at the beginning. I mean, Amazon used to get called a scam. I mean, retailers and distributors just went nuts as Amazon continued to scale and scale. If you go look at something like Uber, to this day, Uber like really fucking pisses people off because it's causing disruption. Now, the disruption is caused from the fact that it is breaking the mold in a way that works and quite clearly the market wants. Now, the reason I'm telling you this is somewhat of a reflection of a video I released, I mean, like, I don't know how long at this point, over a year ago at this point. At the time of releasing it, I'm sure most of you guys have seen it, that 17-year-old high school dropout video. In fact, a lot of you guys might be here because of that video. I ran that video as a pre-roll ad and still continue to run that video as a pre-roll ad with varying budgets to this day as a way to get my message out to more people. Now, I knew very specifically when I ran that ad that it would piss off a lot of people, and I openly admit, if I watched that video and that person wasn't me, in fact, even when I watched that video, I cringe myself. I'm like, oh, like, this is so like cringy. And I knew, look, my two options are, number one, release a video that is cringy and release a video that's over the top, kind of over the top, very disruptive, touches on all that. Either I could do that, or I could release a video that's like, hey, let me tell you the 3 business principles, the 3 core building blocks to, my success so far with my marketing agency. Which one do you think more people would skip? Do you think more people would watch and continue to watch and, bring on that message if I was like, so, I'm a 17-year-old high school dropout, black screen, and then like, just like crazy experiences I'd had over the years, over like 2017. Do you think that would perform better? Or, look, today I'm gonna teach you the 3 core principles that I've learned taking my agency from 0 to X amount per month. Some of the main pitfalls I've found after X amount of time in this business, blah, blah. Like, I know because I've run pre-roll ads where I'm like, look, unlike most pre-roll ads, I'm actually gonna teach you something in this one. And then for 15 minutes, I literally teach the 2 best client acquisition methods I've learned in the last 6 months or whatever. That's an actual YouTube pre-roll ad that I ran, and it flopped. The click-through rate was horrendous. The actual watch rate was terrible. So as I said, I ran that ad knowing full well that, number one, it pissed off a lot of people. Number two, it definitely wasn't a real testament to what I know, because, as I said, I look at that video and I'm like, oh, that's kind of cringy, but at least that video has brought in tons and tons of subscribers, has, brought my message to thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people, has grown this channel, and I barely never look at my comments because I'm busy managing and running my agency and building the best online programs in the world. That's really my only 2 focuses. It's funny, whenever I go look at my comments section, just like the amount, like how much some of the stuff I do triggers people, just really, to me, it's a green light that I need to keep pressing. My content, I mean, except for that 17-year-old high school dropout video, isn't too provocative, I'm not very raw, like, hustle, get money, work harder, jets, this thing, that thing. Like, I live a cool lifestyle because I budget for it, but I really don't try to be super raw over the top. You can do it, it's easy. Start now, take a shit, and then wake up, take a shit before you go to bed, wake up the next morning and you're a millionaire. I don't have provocative content like that. But even the content that I do post, it's pissed people off so much. And as I said, it's really just been a green light for me to keep pressing. And that makes total sense. Here's why. Here's kind of what I'm an example and I'm a testament to. Number one, rich parents. Contrary to some people's beliefs, my real father was an alcoholic, abusive. I've met him once when I was 9 years old. I come from a place called Dagestanski Ogni in Dagestan, which pretty much no one knew about until, if you're familiar with MMA, Khabib, like, I'm actually, like, my biological father is the same bloodline as him. So, like, pretty much no one knew where I was from until that. So my real father was an alcoholic, abusive. I've never met him. I met him once when I was 9 years old. My stepdad, he was an absolute tyrant. And by the age of 13, 14, me and my mother were completely cut off. and I had to just fucking fend for myself. So I can tell you, at 18 years old, or actually I'm 19 now. At 19 years old, you don't accomplish what I do and continue to work as hard as I do unless you've gone through pain that would be undescribable to other people. And that's what I've gone through, is pain that I doubt very many people have gone through, in the amount of pain, the amount of stress, and the amount of just like pressure that I have, okay? So contrary to most people's belief, I don't have rich parents, I don't have rich parents. And you know what? Honestly, I wish I had poor parents. Like, that would be a benefit to me. But at 17, I was supporting my mom. At 18, I was basically making sure that my mom could retire whenever she wanted to, and supporting a divorce that costs hundreds of thousands. So let's not even get into that. So, a lot of people look at me and they're like, rich parents, or like, he doesn't have rich parents. Fuck. If he has, let alone not even rich parents, but if he literally has a single mom that he has to support at the age of 17, 18, and here I am with like totally normal parents and upbringing, and I can't do it and he can do it, what does that say about me? That's number one. That's one thing that really pisses people off. Now, the next thing that really pisses people off is my age. At the time of recording this, I'm now officially 19. Tons and tons of people look at my age and they're like, okay, so at 17, he built a successful marketing agency. By 18, he'd made his first $1 million profit. And at the age of 19, this year, I'm looking to scale to 4 million pounds. He's done that at a super young age. I'm like 32, and like, what the hell does that say about me? Now, the next thing is the school thing. I'm a high school dropout, and that was a very, very calculated move. Anyone who's actually like properly heard out my story knows that like, I literally went through an equation and a formula to figure out, okay, if I can have my overhead plus rent, which I wasn't paying at the time, if I can get that, and I can get that times 4, and I can get that in lump sum, deposit, or rate contract, then I'll drop out. And I dropped out. So then people go, oh, okay, if he's a high school dropout and he did it, and I have a master's degree in marketing, like, what does that say about me? My point is, no matter what you're doing, I've noticed time and time again, and if you look historically in history, I've noticed it time and time again. And the main encompassing thing is, I get a lot of time, hey, what makes you qualified to give advice to people? Or you should go to college, that's where you get the real education. You should go to school, that's where you get the real education. Or hey, what the hell could you know? I have an MBA. Very few people I've met with an MBA actually know what the fuck they're talking about, or have actually built a real successful business. This is kind of the next thing, you can look at it with Amazon, just completely tore apart an industry. Uber completely tore apart an industry. Airbnb completely tore apart an industry. If you go look at something like Tesla, completely destroyed an industry. And all of these companies really piss people off. Now here I am, and most of you guys that know my long-term vision, which is to reform the education system and give real education to people, not the bullshit you learn in school. I'm definitely not promoting a message which says drop out of college or drop out of school. As I said, I made a very calculated decision in a very, very difficult situation where I was 17 and I had to support a mom. I don't think many people are in that situation. Okay, so I made a very calculated decision. So I'm definitely not promoting drop out of high school or drop out of college or anything like that. What I am promoting is make sure you get a real education. And whatever your goal is, your goal might be a 100K a year business, your goal might be a 7-figure business, your goal may be 8-figure business. Get a real education. And some of your goals may be 100K a year business and have ultimate freedom and work 2-3 hours a week. And that's very, very possible. Not easy, but very, very possible. Get real education so you can do that. Because school definitely won't teach you that. Here I am basically coming in and saying, hey, you don't need a college education. You don't need a high school education. Honestly, for 99.99% of people, please just finish high school. I definitely don't co-sign to dropping out of high school. As I said, I had to make a very difficult decision in a very difficult situation. So don't compare me to everyone else. Here I am basically saying, you don't need a college degree, you don't need an MBA, you don't need an MBA, you don't need a master's in marketing. I don't even know if that's a thing. You don't need you don't need any of this shit to build a real business. And you don't actually need any knowledge in marketing whatsoever to build a marketing agency. So here I am coming in with a just radically different message. It doesn't faze me, the fact that it pisses people off. To me, that's really just been the biggest green light over the last 12 months, 18 months, that shit, people are getting scared. It's time to press forward. Which brings us full circle back to the title of this video, which is innovation breeds disruption. Innovation and disruption, they're basically joined at the hip. And any business or any company or anyone with a mission or a vision out there that is trying to innovate and come into an industry, take a look at, for example, PayPal. They came into an industry that was super centralized and just old and frail, which was banking. It came into that industry and just completely revolutionized it. Here I am coming into an industry that is so old, frail, and fucked up, which is the education system. And I'm coming in here and I'm saying, hey, rather than going to school, learning a bunch of shit that you don't actually need to know, and then not learning anything tangible or real, which is how to manage oneself, how to build a real business so you can have income, so you can have opportunity and freedom, rather than learning, rather than going to something that doesn't teach you any of that, why don't you just educate yourself? And there's this entire other world. And I have grander ambitions to make sure that e-learning and what I do with the e-learning space, which is not a 1-year business and then I'm done and then I'm moving to Tenerife, buying a villa and just playing Xbox all day. That's not my vision. I have a 30-40 year vision. Making sure that e-learning destroys the education system as we know it now. That's my vision. So obviously that's gonna piss off a couple people. That is from a high level perspective. If we bring it down and I make it a little bit more relatable to you guys, you need to understand that innovation just within your social circle, just within your friends, if you are trying to innovate and you are trying to build something different from what's in your social circle, if your social circle is used to fucking around, eating fatty foods, never going to the gym, never exercising, you just can't argue that that's not a healthy life. If that is your social circle and you're trying to innovate and you're trying to do something better, of course there's gonna be backlash. Of course there's gonna be disruption within that social circle, within your friend group, if you are trying to innovate and you are trying to do something new. So high level, you can see why, I'm pissing off a lot of people, and I have pissed off a lot of people with my message and with what I'm trying to do with my business, especially my training business. You can see why that pisses off a lot of people. Now, if we bring that down to sort of a micro level, which is just within your social circle, you can start to see why, if you're trying to do something different, innovation or change breeds disruption. Okay, so I need you to know that most of the time, 99% of the time, actually I wouldn't go as far as say 99, 80% of the time, if the people around you are starting to twitch, if they're starting to get uneasy, if they're trying to make excuses for themselves, if they are just if they have a lot of hate towards you just for no reason, most of the time it's because you're doing something right. So keep pressing, that's your green light, and keep moving forward. So guys, hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one.